Welcome to Revolution on a Recliner. Today we have a fantastic, very special guest, probably the coolest dude that's ever been on the show. What's going on, Ming?
That's very flattering. The coolest guy who's ever been on the show.
Definitely the most famous, without a doubt.
Wow, that's cool. That's amazing. I have a very unique story, I guess.
Please tell us about the story.
I don't know. Where should I begin? I've several credits, I guess. I think maybe the most prominent being I was on a TV show called Comic Book Men, which aired on the AMC network. It came on after The Walking Dead, and we ran for 7 seasons. And for anybody who hasn't seen it, it deals in the world of pop culture, comic books. A lot of people who haven't seen it, they're like, whoa, what's Comic Book Men? How would you describe it? I've never seen it. I was like, all right, you know that TV show Pawn Stars? Have you seen that one where the gold and silver pawn shop in Las Vegas, Nevada, people bring in old artifacts. Sometimes they bring in cars, and there are a bunch of dudes in the pawn shop appraising it. So most people bring in something they want to buy or sell. Mm-hmm. And it gets comical, and someone's like, I want $1 million for this. It's like, all right, this is worth $100, and we'll tell you why. And they kind of get shot down. Yeah. So we kind of ripped off that.
It's a really cool show. Okay.
Ripped off that show. So instead of artifacts and cars, we deal in the world of vintage comics and vintage toys. Yeah. Inside of a comic book shop in Red Bank, New Jersey. Yeah. And I think that's way more fun.
Yeah, which is right down the road from here.
Right down the road.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to be honest.
Yes.
I was not aware of the show.
Yeah. Oh, no problem.
I met you,
no problem at all.
Now understand that I am not a comic book guy. Okay. I'm not a pop culture guy. Okay. I'm not a movie guy. Okay. I'm not a TV guy.
Wow, what do you do all day?
This.
Okay, you podcast.
I do podcasts.
Great.
And my thing has always been more politics and that kind of thing.
Okay, you're in that world.
And raising my family and working.
Amazing.
Okay. So, but I tell you what, though, I think you've been sent into my life for a reason. Because after watching all the shit that you've done, all the cool stuff, it was like, man, what have I been doing with the past 30 years? I don't do anything that's fun and frivolous like that. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I mean, I hope.
No, not at all. I think most people, a lot of people aren't in that world. They're like, oh man, that's you're wasting your time. Or
no, but you know what? I would disagree because I think I'm the odd man out. Because just about everybody I know is into comics.
You are these days. You know what? Yeah. It wasn't always like that. We were the odd. We were the oddballs. We were the. There was a time back in when I was growing up, 70s, 80s. It wasn't cool to be a nerd or a geek. You got made fun of. Okay. You got bullied.
I should have lived then, probably. I should have, because I probably relate to that world more.
Sure.
But you know what? I regret not. I don't regret. I am who I am, and I don't think I'm going to change. But I can dig what you're into. Even though it's not my thing, I can dig it, man, because I see how cool it is and how it worked out for you.
Oh, man, it's so much fun.
I believe
it's so much fun.
I believe it.
I think the moment, I don't know if you've seen any of the Marvel movies, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Avengers.
I've seen a few of them. I'm gonna be honest, man. I run away from them for the most part. But I've seen a few. Well, I saw the original like Spider-Mans and Batmans.
Sure.
I probably gave up at that point. I think I saw at least one of the Iron Men.
Okay.
I've never seen anything else besides that. Unless I was forced by my kids.
Okay.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm running away from it most of the time.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
So no sci-fi either, no Star Wars, no Star Trek, none of the stars.
I was a weird kid, man.
No problem.
I was a weird kid. See, I lived a whole. Let me ask you one question. Okay. I'm assuming you had a mom and dad.
I did. Yes, I still do. Luckily,
yes. Okay. While you were watching Star Wars, I was out on the fucking streets. Okay, but that's a whole nother story.
Sure,
we don't have to get into that.
No,
today.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But anyway, getting back to your story. Sure. So let me go back a little bit further, though. So I understand you were into comics your whole life and all that kind of stuff. But where you started this whole journey, was it when you got into the movie with the Clerks movie with Kevin Smith, or were you doing the comic book thing before that?
I was a fan of comic books since the age of 6.
Okay.
First grade, a classmate gave me a copy of the Avengers comic book.
Okay.
And I devoured that thing. Prior to that, I knew about some of the characters, Spider-Man, Batman. I'd never read a comic book before. So imagine a 6-year-old getting, this 22-page, piece of, folded piece of paper and inside are these superheroes, these guys dressed in funny costumes.
Yeah.
And, they're battling in that particular issue. They're battling a character called the Ghost Rider, who is a guy in a leather jacket with a flaming skull riding a motorcycle.
Well, that's pretty cool.
And that's
that
awesome.
I might be into.
Oh yeah,
that I might be.
But
into.
as a 6-year-old, I see Captain America with his shield.
Okay.
I see Iron Man with his red and gold armor. I see Ghost Rider. I'm 6 years old. I read this thing cover to cover.
Nice.
This is one of the first books that I'd seen that wasn't, hop on pop, wasn't like a Dr. Seuss, wasn't kind of talking down to, not talking down, but at a kid's level. This was a whole nother world. And I was like, holy crap, what is this?
Yeah.
What, why does this guy have this metal shield? Why does this guy have a flaming skull? I devoured that thing cover to cover. And I still have that.
How old were you?
I was 6.
6, okay.
That was 39 years ago, my friend. I'm 45 now. I kept that thing because it was an important part of my life. And that was so eye-opening.
Yeah.
And that just launched me in a whole nother world. So after that it was...
That's funny because at 6, I was actually in a hospital. I don't know. I was in a hospital many times when I was a kid. I don't remember what it was for. But I had a sister of a friend of my brother who lived like around the block.
Yeah.
I was in the hospital for about a week. Mm-hmm. And she brought me a stack of comic books. And I swear to God, man, I read like 2 of them and I was done. I couldn't do it, man.
Yeah, no problem.
I couldn't do it. But let me ask you again. So let's skip forward. You went from comic book reading when you were a kid.
Yeah.
How did you get into the comic book store and on the show and all that shit?
A lot of people were like, how did you get... I'm the other thing I'm known for is working with Kevin Smith, the Jersey-based filmmaker.
Sure.
If you don't know him... He had made a movie here in Jersey.
Okay.
He borrowed 10 credit cards. He sold his comic book collection, and he was able to raise $27,575. And he made this very grainy, low-budget black and white movie called Clerks.
Yeah.
And
I've seen it.
Yeah. Okay. So you have seen Clerks.
It's funny as hell.
It is. It's very funny.
Yeah.
It gives you a taste of Jersey if you're not from Jersey. There's a lot of cursing in it.
Oh, yeah.
There are a couple of funny drug dealers in it called Jen, Silent Bob.
Okay.
And it just kind of it takes place in one day, and it kind of deals with a character named Dante, who's just stuck working at a convenience store, and he doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. But this movie that was made for, the price of a low-budget car these days, found its way into the Sundance Film Festival, got bought by a company called Miramax, and that $20,000 made $3 million at the box office.
Wow.
This movie became huge on the home market, the video rental market, and it's beloved by the world over now. The filmmaker Kevin Smith is now a very popular filmmaker who he's made, I think, 10 or 12 films at this point. He helped launch careers. Ben Affleck, he's associated with Stan Lee. He's worked with many people. He's kind of, if you're an aspiring filmmaker, he's the guy that you want to be. Like, oh man, I want to be Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
I want to be this guy who just came from a small town in Jersey and became a huge filmmaker.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. I read up on it because, again, I didn't know much about Kevin Smith either. Now, people watching this are probably wondering, if I don't know anything about you or Kevin Smith, how the fuck did this even happen? Well, you have a podcasting studio.
Yep, we're in it right now.
Yeah, we're in it right now. Shared Universe Podcasting Studio.
A Shared Universe
Podcasting Studio. And you can see it's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's draped in all this comic book stuff and all that. And there's Kevin Smith right there.
Yep.
So I contacted Ming for podcasting reasons. I'm actually running a meetup group here in New Jersey. So I contacted him originally for that to, maybe do some networking. Then I said, you know what? I'm going to use your studio to do some podcasting myself. So we bumped into each other here at the studio. Long story short, we get into a long conversation about podcasting. I said, dude, you're my next interview.
Let's do it.
I got to interview you. But before we were done talking, you said, are you familiar with Kevin Smith? I said, yeah, I sort of know him. And you know about Comic Book Man? And I said, no, what is that?
Right.
I had no idea. So I went home.
Okay.
And of course, I did my homework.
Okay.
You said, why don't you come back tomorrow and podcast? I said, no. Let me do a little bit of reading first. Dude, you got a Wikipedia page.
I do.
I was so impressed by that. You have no fucking idea.
It's actually not hard to get a Wikipedia page. You just have to do some press, and then they have actual articles to refer back to.
Okay.
As far as setting up a Wikipedia page, I have no idea. Some other dude out there did it. There are people out there who love setting up Wikipedia pages.
Okay,
and
all right.
I actually ended up meeting the guy who set it up for me. He was some guy in Pennsylvania.
Oh, all
and,
right.
I thanked them, of course, because it's kind of cool to have a Wikipedia page.
Yeah, you got a big following. Like I said, I did a lot more research and reading, and you've done a lot of fucking stuff, brother. You really
I don't like to sit still.
Yeah, I don't like to
sit still.
You don't sleep much, do you?
No, not at all. Okay. So Kevin made this movie, Clerks. I became a huge fan of it. I was working a dead-end job at the same time. I was going to college at the University of Michigan, where I ended up graduating. But I was working at a video store, not knowing what I wanted to do with my life. People were like, "Well, what do you want to major in?
Was
what do
that
you want
the
to do?"
same video store as the TV show?
No. This is a video store at the Student Union in Ann Arbor, Michigan, where I was going to school.
Oh, before you came to Jersey.
Yeah, but I related to this movie. The character in the movie has no idea what he wants to do. He's kind of a directionless. And even though I was going to college, and pretty good college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had no clue. So I really related to this movie. And and at the same time, I was learning how to build websites. Now, this is 1994. There's no Google. There's no Facebook.
There's no nothing.
There's no Amazon.
Except for people like you, no one knew what the internet was.
Yeah,
that it even
pretty much
existed.
Yeah, but I had met a fellow engineering student who was like, "Hey, man, there's this thing called the World Wide Web. I think it's going to be huge. And you can set up your own website. You can put your own pictures on there and whatever." I'm like, so I learned how to build a website back in '94. I was like, "Whoa, this is awesome. This is like a magazine or something, but on the internet, and you can put up whatever you wanted." And I was like, "Wow, this is awesome."
Yeah.
And so I built one for myself, a personal website.
Okay.
And I had all these goofy photos of me in bad fashions back in 1994. But after I saw Clerks, I was like, man, I think I want to build a Clerks fan website. I think I needed a way to channel my fandom, because none of my friends would watch this movie.
Okay.
It was in black and white. It was grainy. All they did was talk.
Yeah.
And if you remember, I don't know if you saw any movies in 1994, but we had movies like Forrest Gump.
Okay.
Movies like Stargate, big budget, explosions, big sci-fi.
Movies. Yeah.
And, so my friends were like, well, I'd rather go watch Stargate instead of Clerks. These are, what is it? Well, it's two dudes who talk in a convenience store for 90 minutes. And they're like, why would I watch that? And I was like, well, it's awesome. You have no idea. The dialogue's awesome.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
The guy who wrote it is awesome. And they would look at the box and they're like, everyone's in black and white here. Is this a black and white art movie?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's not really an art movie.
Imagine an art movie from Jersey.
Yeah. And they're like, well, I don't want to watch this. So I was bursting at the seams to talk to somebody about this movie, because as a, kind of like I grew up a comic book fan. And when I found something cool like the X-Men or the Avengers, I wanted everybody else to read it too. So I could talk to them about it.
Yeah.
Same thing with Clerks. I wanted to have a conversation about this amazing movie. I just saw it, but I had no one to talk to because they refused to watch it.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, maybe if I build a website, the website is worldwide. Maybe I can find some other people in the world who had seen this movie. So I spent a week building this website, photos, movie clips, audio clips. It's very basic, but I think I put a lot of work into it, though. That's how much I love this movie. I don't know, I was driven that whole week by I was like, man, I got to make this awesome site. And at the bottom, I was like, hey, if you like this movie too, hit me up, contact me. I put my email address on the bottom. And people started coming to my website. Wow. Got a lot of emails going, oh man, you saw the movie too. Wasn't it awesome when Jay and Silent Bob did this? Or, what a great movie. Yeah. And I would reply to them and, kind of made instant internet friends.
that music video from Blind Melon at the end where the girl finds all the other kids.
I was the Bumblebee, man. I was the Bumblebee girl. That's a great analogy. Yeah, exactly. And so that was pretty cool. And then maybe about a month or two after I had the site up, I got an email from the ultimate fan of Clerks, which was Kevin Smith, the guy who wrote and directed it. And I was like, holy crap. And he was like, hey, man, I saw what you did. This is awesome. Yeah. Can you do more of these? I'm starting a production company. I'll be making more movies. I think this internet thing is going to take off. I like what you did. Can you help me expand on what you did? Yeah. He was going to start a whole production company. He was like, hey, man, I have all these photos and artifacts from all the film festivals I've been to that no one's ever seen before.
Wow.
Can you help me put those up online?
Wow.
And
talk about being the right man, the right place, the right time.
And he was like, hey, this is my phone number. Give me a call tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap. To me, this was crazy.
Yeah.
Up until this point, you know, guys who worked in Hollywood making your favorite movies, they didn't send you an email. They didn't contact you. It was so... There's this big wall, you know, like guys who worked in Hollywood were up here and you were down here.
Well, he's that kind of guy, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was no Twitter or Instagram, so there was no way for anyone in Hollywood to contact you.
Yeah, okay.
You know, maybe you could, you know, back then I think they had fan clubs. You know, you would get this generic photocopied letter.
Yeah, but that was just a sham.
You'd get some 8x10s.
Yeah, yeah.
And very, very rarely did anyone well-known contact you.
Yeah, sure.
But this guy did. Kevin did. And I was like, holy crap, he gave me his phone number. He wants me to call him.
That is so fucking
cool. What do I do? But the next day, I called him.
Yeah.
He picked up the phone.
Uh-huh.
It was him. He was like, hey, man, I really like what you did. I want, can you build me a whole website?
The first thing, were you surprised to actually hear him talk?
Yeah, I did, because in the movie, the movie typically plays a character called Silent Bob, who only says one thing in every movie.
Okay.
Yeah, one very wise thing that kind of wraps up the whole movie.
I don't even remember that. Does he say something?
He does in Clerks. Okay. Yeah, very profound.
Okay.
Very wise.
It's been a while. I watched that back when it first came out.
But that's what he does in the movie. So to hear him talk, and if you know him now, he gets paid very well to travel the world doing Q&As, public appearances, and he talks minimum of 3 hours.
Yeah, and he's a great talker.
He's great. He's a great storyteller, but it's very ironic. The guy named Silent Bob in the movies in real life, he won't shut up.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, not at all.
Keep going.
So we talked on the phone. He was like, "Hey, I'm going to send you a list of things that I want.
Yeah.
And let's do this, man. Let's get this website up." And I did. I built the whole website for his production company. That was 1996 that we completed that. And we were working together ever since.
You're still working with him on?
Yeah, I still work with him. Yep. He'll text me. He's like, "Hey, man, I'm doing this thing. I need some help on this. Can you
website related?
Website related, graphic design related, e-commerce related, social media related, event related, whatever he needs technology wise, I usually take care of for him.
Shit, man. Yeah. Even to this day.
Yeah.
That's fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, but that led to I was working with him. I went after college, I graduated, got a full-time job in Washington D.C.
Okay.
But after about 6 years, he was like, "Hey, man, why don't you come work full-time for me? I've got enough stuff going on here. I'm making some pretty good money. I can hire you full time now." Mm-hmm. The only catch is you got to move to New Jersey. Mm-hmm. I was like, "Oh man, you know what? New Jersey looks cool. You know, your movies made it look pretty cool." My wife is from Middletown, which is the next town over from here.
Okay, yeah.
So it all kind of worked out. I was like, I'll give it a shot. Why not? So I moved. I moved here in 2002, and I haven't left since.
What did you think when you first got here?
I liked it. I was, my first thing was like, wow, the Italian food is really good here. Yeah. The pizza cannot be matched anywhere in the country.
I don't give a shit what anybody says.
Yeah, maybe Italy, maybe Naples, Italy.
I've been to Italy.
Yeah.
Nothing like Jersey.
Really? Wow.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
Jersey's the best pizza on the planet.
Amazing. I was like, wow, the bagels are really good here.
Yeah.
And I thought I had a great time. I'm 15 minutes from the beach.
Yeah, yeah.
It was cool. I had a lot of fun here. The job was great.
And you're in a nice part of Jersey.
Sure.
I'm from the armpit.
Where are you from?
Well, I'm from the area of Newark, Elizabeth, Hillside, Irvington.
Sure.
And then later on, before I moved out of Jersey for a while, I was from the Harrison Kearney area.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm from the armpit. You ever watch The Sopranos?
Of course.
You know Satriali's?
I know Satriali's.
That was
the pork store, the beef, the meat store.
That was a few feet from my apartment.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah. So,
that's awesome.
Anyway, so you started working for Kevin Smith.
Did technology. I was kind of the technology guy for the longest time. But somewhere in there, around 2007, Kevin started podcasting. He discovered podcasts.
Okay.
And 2007, very early in the podcast game.
Yeah, definitely.
There were not that many podcasts out there. There were not very many podcasters out there. But he had...
Is that the Smodcast that he does till today?
Smodcast is the podcast that he started out with.
Okay.
I think they're at like 380 episodes now.
Okay.
But he had found podcasting, and he loved podcasting because he had finally found a format that he could talk freely.
Yeah.
He could swear. He could say whatever he wanted. He could go as long as he wanted. And it was a perfect format for him.
Yeah.
If you know anything about Kevin, he doesn't like rules.
Okay.
He likes to curse.
He seems
likes to tell his stories, and he doesn't want anyone telling him what he can and can't say.
Uh-huh.
And if you listen to podcasts,
there is no better form.
There is no better format. Yep.
No, absolutely not.
Yep.
So, but up until that point, you weren't doing anything comic book related.
I mean, I was appreciating them. I was reading them. Kevin has owned a comic book shop in Red Bank for 23 years now.
So he already owned that.
He already owned the comic book shop when I got there. So, I would go out, I would help out there.
Oh, okay.
I would read comics. I could read them for free and put them back on the shelf every week. And, I love the environment, so I kind of hang out there every so often.
So how did the Comic Book Men TV show that was on AMC for 7 seasons, how did that come about?
So, oddly enough, that actually happened in a large part due to podcasting. So Kevin started the podcast. He got all of us into podcasting a few years later because he was starting a network.
Okay.
And he needed shows that weren't just him. Mm-hmm. He launched 3 shows 3 or 4 shows. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I want to start a network. And the network, you need other voices. You need other topics.
Yeah.
You need other subject matters. And we were there already. So he's like, I want you to start a podcast. I'm like, how do podcast? I'm like, I don't want to be behind a microphone. Yeah. Like, I uploaded his podcast onto iTunes for him. I didn't sit behind a microphone. I was like, why do you want me to start a podcast? Like, well, I need other voices. I need people that aren't just me. And I'm like, well, I'm not really the guy to do that. I don't want to be behind a microphone. I'm really shy. What would I? You're famous already. Yeah. Of course you would start a podcast. Uh-huh. You're a great storyteller. You want to talk. Uh-huh. Of course you would start a podcast. Why would I do it? I have no desire to be behind a microphone. I sit behind a laptop all day in a dark room. I'm fine with that. I don't want to start a podcast.
You're a behind the scenes guy.
Yeah. And I was like, no, man, I need your voice. I'm like, well, what do I do a podcast about? He's like, well, what do you like? What do you like? What do you love in life? Well, I'm like, I don't know, Star Wars, comic books, and food. He's like, that's a podcast. Okay. I'm like, really? You can do a podcast on. And those are very different topics. Yeah. I can do one podcast that talks about all 3 of those. Mm-hmm. He's like, absolutely, you can. There are no rules.
Yeah. See, nowadays, you'd be like, yeah, of course you can do that. But back then, podcasting was still new.
Yep.
And you never heard of it.
Yeah, I thought it had to stick to some kind of format. I thought there were rules. He's like, no, man. Yeah. You talk about whatever you want. I'm like, well, if I can talk about comics, Star Wars, and food, like, this could work. I was like, all right, I'll try it out. So I grabbed a co-host, my friend Mike Zapsik, who works at the shop full time. Mm-hmm. He ended up being my co-star on Comic Book Men. Okay. He also likes comic books, Star Wars, and food. And I'm like, hey man, Kevin wants us to start a podcast. You think we could do this? He's like, well, let's give it a shot. So we went in the back of the comic book shop. We sat around an old beat up poker table that we had back there. Fired up the microphones, and we started our first episode. And I asked Kevin, I was like, well, how long does this have to go for? I don't know how much I got in me. Yeah. He's like, could you do 45 minutes to an hour? I'm like, on comics, Star Wars, and food, I could probably do that. I like those topics well enough. And so we sat down and fired up the mics, hit record, and we ended up going 2 hours without even knowing it. There you go. Because we were having so much fun. Wow. And so after we recorded, I was like, wow, that was pretty fun. I wonder how it sounded. Went home. I listened back to it, and I was like, wow, this sounds pretty good. We sound like a couple of guys who could have a legit radio show if we were given one. And, we flowed. We gave our opinions. Yeah. I thought we were interesting. Yeah. There were no gaps in the conversation. I felt we were very well spoken on what we were talking about. It's like, hey, man, that was really good. Like, we have no training. Why did that sound so good? He was like, dummy. We were talking about things that we love, that we're passionate about. Yep. We, you're and stuff that we have been researching for years that we know about. There should be no surprise that it came out good, because these are things that we truly love. That's
the amazing thing about the podcast genre revolution and genre, is because now it's not what they tell us is entertainment. It's what we're interested in, and then whoever's interested in that can follow us on our journey.
Yeah, you'll find your listenership. You'll find your
tribe.
You will, for sure. Yeah. And God, after that first episode, we got hooked, man. So every week we recorded, and we launched that podcast, and we're at, I think, 309 episodes on that one.
Wow.
Started in 2011, so it's
still going, right?
Still going. The podcast is called I Sell Comics.
I actually listened to one episode this week, and I have to say, you guys really flow very well together. You work well together.
Yeah,
and that's important. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so delves in the world of comic books. New comics come out every Wednesday. So usually on Thursday mornings, we get together. We talk about what books came out, which ones everyone should be reading, and we sprinkle in some pop culture news, and that's an episode, and we have found pretty huge listenership.
Nice.
We found a pretty good fandom over that, and
very nice.
That was 10 years ago, my friend, and I think podcasting is one of the things I've been doing the last 10 years that I've not lost a love for. If anything, my love for podcasting has grown.
Yeah, sure.
And I've in that 10 years, I get into things, I fall out of things. There was a time I thought I was going to be a triathlete.
Really?
I did that for a year, and I was like, man, that's a lot of time. I kind of got bored with that.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be like a distance bike rider, and I did that for a little while.
Okay.
I ran marathons.
Just a lot less low impact.
Sure. Yeah, there are countless things that I've gotten into and then kind of fallen out of love with in the last 10 years. It happens. That's life.
Yeah.
But podcasting, man, I have not lost my love for this in the last 10 years. I was trying to find a way to do this every day, and I think I just did it. So I found a way.
You decided to open up the studio. Oh, but let's not skip too far ahead.
Oh, so how did I get into comic book, man?
There you go.
I don't know if you're familiar with the TV show called The Walking Dead.
I haven't watched it, but I know what it is.
You know of it, yeah.
I know of it.
It started in 2010. The first season was amazing. 6 episodes. Delves in the post-apocalyptic world where zombies exist. Where if you die, you come back as a zombie. Okay. So very well done show. Highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. Very
Eventually, I'll get around to it.
Yeah. First season is only 6 episodes. I think, give it a taste.
Okay.
If you decide after those 6 episodes it's not for you, no problem.
All right.
But this show blew up. It got to a point where everybody was watching the show.
Yeah, I know.
And the show was based on a comic book called The Walking Dead.
Oh, it was a comic book.
It was a comic book. Got turned into a TV show.
Okay.
And it was on AMC, and that first season blew up in a huge way.
Yeah. So
when the second season rolled around, the network was like, wow, this show is based on a comic book. Mm-hmm. Let's do more comic book related items. And they're like, let's try to figure out how to do another comic book related TV show. Mm-hmm. They had no idea what they wanted to do, though. All they knew is they wanted it based on the world of comic books. And they ended up contacting Kevin Smith.
Okay.
Kevin's a very well-known geek.
All right.
If you have anything in the pop culture, comic book, or geek world, you talk to him first.
Okay.
And so they did. They're like, hey, Walking Dead is really taking off. We want to do another comic book related show. We don't really know what we want to do, though. Like, what would you want to be involved in maybe creating a comic book related TV show for us?
Okay.
He's like, I'm really busy right now. It's not really something I could get into right now. Mm-hmm. Like, all right, we understand. But if you were to create a comic book related show, what would you do? He's like, honestly, that show Pawn Stars, where they bring in, items to pawn, that's a pretty big show. I would take that show and set it inside of a comic book shop, and instead of old artifacts and historical documents, whatever they bring in on that show, I would keep it focused on the world of vintage toys and vintage comic books.
And it just so happens I own a comic book store too, right?
Yeah.
One at the time, right?
Yeah, and we'd set inside a comic book shop. They're like, wow, that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
I know you didn't want to.
It is a brilliant idea.
They're like, wow, I know you didn't want to develop this, but that's where we're going to go with. Why don't you just get involved? You just created the show.
Yeah.
So they did. And so in the creation of any TV show, what they have to do is shoot one episode called the pilot.
Yeah.
They have to shoot one episode to see if it'll even work. Mm-hmm. So that's what they did. They're like, well, we're going to shoot a pilot episode. We have to find a comic book shop somewhere, and we have to find 4 guys who would be on the show.
Okay.
And they don't have to be the real guys on the show. We just need, for the purposes of this test episode, we need to do it. He's like, well, I have a comic book shop and I have 4 guys that work there. Why don't you just use them? if you have to tell them what to say, just for the purposes of a skeleton and outline the show,
so all of those guys that are on the show were actually working at the comic book store.
Yeah, but it started out with this pilot episode where they had to shoot it very cheaply, and they needed to do it very quickly in the matter of 3 days. So Kevin was like, well, I have a shop, so you can use that for free. So that won't come out of the budget. And you can use the guys who work there already. They already work for me, so you don't have to pay them or anything. So whatever money you have, put it all into making this pilot look really good. So it will become a real TV show. So they came. They used us four as me and my three coworkers who were there already. We shot this pilot episode. The network saw it and they loved it. They're like, wow, this is awesome. And just to kind of, they're like, wow, those guys that you use for the pilot, I know you weren't planning on using them for the final product, but they're really good. These are the guys. Nah. I think these might be the guys. But to bolster all of that, what they did is they went back and they listened to our podcast episodes.
Oh, okay.
All four of us had podcasts at the time.
Okay.
They went back and listened to that, and that really reinforced
there you go.
The idea. They're like, wow, if these guys can flow and if their dialogue is like how they interact on their podcasts, we're going to have a hit show. This show could go, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 seasons. And we end up going 7.
7.
Yeah.
It was a big show, right?
Yeah, it was. But the podcast, that really reinforced, that really gave them confidence.
Sure.
Into, when it was time to be like, hey, do we go further with the show? Do we dump a lot of money into making a season of the show? By listening to those podcast episodes, they're like, well, this is a very dialogue-driven show. These guys have dialogue. These guys can talk. These guys can talk without stepping over each other. These guys can talk without gaps in the conversation. These guys don't stutter. These guys have a great flow.
You also have different personalities.
Exactly. They got an idea of our personalities by listening to our podcast.
You guys all like to bust each other's balls too, which helps.
That's what we do in New Jersey, my friend, right?
That's true. Yeah.
That's all we do in New Jersey. That's how we show love in New Jersey.
Exactly.
That's how we...
sometimes you can't tell the difference between love and hate here. That's how we show our love.
But even, seeing a friend in Jersey you haven't seen in a long time, it's like, yo, fuckface, what's up?
I used to have a thing when I was younger. I stopped doing it because it was ridiculous. Right. But I used to, every time I'd see anybody I knew, I'd go, asshole.
Yeah. And that's how you show love here. And they wanted that kind of interaction. They're like, this is a Jersey-based TV show. It's a comic book shop based in Jersey. You guys be yourselves, but you're going to show kind of like this would be a slice of Jersey that'll be going out to the rest of the world. Now, prior to our show, I don't know if you watch any reality TV at all.
No, I don't.
But there were a couple shows based in the state of New Jersey, and they were not very flattering.
I know there was Jersey Shore, right?
Jersey Shore was an awful example of New Jersey. It's a bunch of idiots getting drunk. Punching each other in the face, partying. It was not a flattering look at New Jersey.
It's like the Jerry Springer show.
Exactly. And the ironic part was, I think they had maybe 5 or 6 cast members. Only one of them was from New Jersey. The rest were from Staten Island and New York.
They were a bunch of Guidos.
They were a bunch of Guidos who'd come down to the shore and act like idiots. But people loved watching train wrecks, and that show got very popular. There's another show called Cake Boss, which was not...
Is that from Jersey? I never watched it, but I heard of it.
That was up in Newark.
It was a cooking show, right?
It was, these guys had a bakery.
That was in Newark?
That was in Newark, I believe,
where the fuck have I been? Well, actually, I was in Florida for 13 years.
Sure.
And I bounced around a couple other states, so maybe that's when it was there. But I didn't even know that.
Yeah, there's another TV show called The Real Housewives of New Jersey, which was a bunch of rich Jersey housewives yelling at each other.
I'm going to buy a TV. I think that's the problem.
TVs are very cheap right now.
I'm going to buy one.
Or you can watch on your laptop now with all the streaming services. You don't need a TV anymore.
Okay.
But... the reality shows up in there, not very flattering at all.
Okay.
And I felt our show...
What about The Sopranos?
Sopranos were great.
Greatest fucking show of all time.
Absolutely. But not, based in reality, but not a reality show, TV show.
There you go.
But I felt our show was a very good snapshot of Red Bank, New Jersey, of a comic book shop, of 4 guys who lived and worked and interacted in New Jersey. I think we gave a very positive light to New Jersey.
Yeah. It's I mean, you guys had
we didn't get drunk. We didn't punch anybody.
No. You had some once in a while, some adult innuendo, some adult humor.
But nothing over the top.
Overall, was much more wholesome than those shows probably
for sure.
were.
Yeah,
for sure. Doubt. Yeah.
So I thought we gave I thought we gave New Jersey a pretty good name.
You
in the
are
reality TV.
You are a good reflection of the geek side of New Jersey. And I say that in the nicest way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because Jersey isn't all guys that sound like me. Okay? It's not all Sopranos and it's not all Guidos.
Right. We're not all in the mob.
No. Most of Jersey, most people don't realize this, but most of Jersey, 80% of Jersey is gorgeous. It's country,
absolutely.
it's mountains. It's
not all refineries. It's not all gray and dark.
No, that's where I'm
and
from.
Run down.
But so I did watch some of the show clips on YouTube or whatnot. I was really impressed. It was really good.
It was fun. Very well done. We had a great production company. We had a great team who helped produce the show.
Yeah.
And we talked about, like podcasting, we talk about what we loved.
Yeah.
I love, if the first appearance of Spider-Man came in, that's a huge book.
Okay.
If you have a nice mint copy of that book.
Okay. What is that worth?
I think the one just sold for almost $2 million.
What?
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Almost.
And you had one of those in your store?
We did. It was a beat up copy. It was not a pristine copy. It was very beat up. I was going to say,
what kind of security got in that place?
Yeah, but even very beat up, that comic's worth, 15, 16, 20 grand, even beat up,
Wow. Okay.
So we had a lot of cool stuff that came in the store. We had a lot of cool celebrities that came in the store.
I was going to ask you about that. I saw some of that.
Yeah.
I saw Method Man.
Method Man came in. Yeah. He signed that poster for me.
Here he is right here.
Yeah, Method Man came in. DMC from Run DMC came in.
They both rapped on the show.
They both rapped, for sure.
You rapped on the fucking show.
I did rap. I got into a rap battle with Daryl McDaniel, a.k.a. DMC from Run DMC.
Yeah, that was
I lost. But I went against the best and I lost. And
I don't know. I think you did pretty good, though, to be honest with you.
I thought I was all right.
I don't think they gave you enough credit.
They did not. No.
Yeah.
But Adam West came on, TV's Batman from 1966.
Yeah, I saw that, too.
If you see
How was that?
That was awesome. He's a legend.
Yeah.
He's a legend. He was like one of the very first Batman on screen.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah,
for sure.
I think he's the first, no?
On TV, yeah, he may have been.
Okay.
He may have been. There may have been small bit appearances before that.
Okay.
I got to look that up. But, he's an icon,
Yeah, definitely.
But we had many, many, many cool people on the show.
And you had the fucking man on there. You had the god of comics on there.
Stan the Man Lee.
Yeah.
Stan Lee came on the show twice.
Wow.
And that was pretty iconic. This is a guy who built the world that I lived in.
Yeah.
And to have him come in, it was like God coming in through those doors of the store.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
And how is he? Is he as friendly as?
Oh
nice
man,
as
he had so much energy.
Yeah.
He was witty. He's a New York guy. He's a New Yorker.
Okay, so he's down to earth.
Oh man, yeah. But he busted balls like the best of them, my friend. Even though he's 94, he was he came in and he was great, man. It was pretty cool meeting him.
Nice. So that's an amazing story. Even though I know that's not the end of the story, but that so far what you've told us is just amazing, man.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you always see memes on Instagram and these life coaches that I think most of them are fucking completely full of shit.
Sure.
But they do have one thing right that you hear over and over and over and over again. Just follow what you're into. Whatever you're passionate about, go fucking do it.
I tell kids all the time.
Which I never did. You know what I mean? I went and got a job. I started a family.
It's not too late.
You know what I mean? Well, that's what I'm trying to do now. But it's true, man. It's true. If you follow your fucking passions, number one, it ain't work. Because you love doing it.
Exactly.
And if you follow it, eventually something will come of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I tell kids all the time, like, hey, do follow what you love. If you love comic books, great. If you want to make your own YouTube channel, great. You want to stream video games, great. You want to start your own podcast, great. If you're into comics, you're into Minecraft, you're into Fortnite, whatever. Follow that. Don't let anybody tell you that it's stupid. It's wrong, that that this is not a good life decision, that this won't help you in the future.
Yeah.
Because when I was a kid, I was told, why are you playing so many video games? No, you'll never get paid to play video games.
You got kids making millions of dollars.
And now you got kids making millions of dollars on Twitch.
One of my son competes.
Yeah.
So he's not one of the top guys. He doesn't make millions, but he competes. Sometimes he makes a few $1,000 here.
Exactly. That's great. Playing video games.
Yeah.
I had people tell me, why don't you read a real book? Comics aren't a real book. Those are drawings in there.
Yeah.
Those aren't real.
Yeah.
And that got me into podcasting, into working with one of my heroes.
There you go.
Onto a TV show.
See?
So whatever you love, follow it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
You're a living example.
Yeah.
So getting back to Kevin Smith,
yes.
I wasn't so familiar with his career. I kind of skipped over it, even though I did watch the Clerks movie.
Yeah.
But I went back and watched some of his YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
He's got a YouTube channel. He does, I don't know if you've seen this.
I've seen it.
He does this thing called What's in the Box?
Yes, they unbox stuff, yeah.
And as stupid as that sounds, like, how entertaining could that be? Yeah. I tell you what, I was in fucking tears.
Yeah.
I was in tears.
Yeah.
He's a funny dude. And so is the other guy, Jason Mewes.
Yeah, Jay.
Yeah, they used to be Jay and
Silent Bob.
Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, they still are, actually. They just had a movie come out.
Okay.
Called Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
Okay, but when you find them on YouTube or whatever, they go by their real names.
Yes.
So Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes.
Yep.
So anyway, I was in tears.
Yeah.
I was in tears. I was watching the one, I don't know if you saw it, where they unboxed the Harry Potter broom.
Yeah.
and Jay's, his mind is always thinking about sex all the time.
Yeah, it is. Yep. So he's like, well, how can I use this in a sexual context? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And these unboxing videos are huge, man. There's an 8-year-old kid out there. He opens toys. I think he cleared 26 million last year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, that's what we were just saying. Yep. Follow your dreams. You got that little kid. He's the top YouTuber, right?
One of
26 million.
One of the top. Yeah.
Yeah. And you got all
built an empire.
Yeah. And you got these people who do these these gags. These YouTube gags,
sure,
making millions of dollars.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
And the rest of us are fucking digging ditches.
Right. We're getting up at 5 a.m. to commute 2 hours and
to get yelled at by our boss because we didn't sell enough widgets this week.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
So it just makes you wonder, man, what the fuck? I mean, we need people to sell widgets.
Exactly,
too. We do.
Yeah.
We can't all be YouTube pranksters.
Yeah, but you know what? I think, Stan Lee said it best. He was like, he woke up one day, he was like, man, I know, I've created characters and I entertain a lot of people, but, wow, I could have been a doctor. I could have cured cancer. I could have launched things into space. Is what I do important? And he's like, you know what? I entertain people.
Yeah.
I get people away from the doldrums of life or a stressful day. We need entertainment in our life.
Yeah.
Without entertainment, we would go crazy.
Yeah.
We would go nuts.
Yeah.
And I am providing a worthwhile service to people. And yeah. So you don't. Even if someone tells you, "Oh man, well that's that doesn't change the world. That doesn't matter." Yeah. They're probably wrong. They're just jealous.
There's one thing, sort of pop culture related. It has nothing to do with comic books, but sort of pop culture related. I'm getting used to this whole fucking thing.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's cool. So I'm watching this thing on Netflix.
Okay.
And it's kind of related to what we're talking about being inspired and following your dreams and creating something out of nothing and all that. Have you seen Hip Hop Evolution?
I have not. I've heard it's pretty amazing. It's about the evolution of hip hop. You
got to watch this show. You got to watch it because it's so inspiring.
Yeah.
Now, I skipped over it at least 100 times over the past 6 months because I was like, you know what? I really hate modern rap.
Right.
I hate modern music to begin with.
Sure.
Especially rap. I fucking hate mumble rap and trap music.
Yeah, but man, the old school stuff is great.
The old school is amazing. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm a huge fan. Huge fan. Up until the mid-2000s, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just maybe the past, so many years.
Yeah, so what made you finally hit that play button?
I was bored. I had nothing else to do.
Okay.
So I said, fuck it, I'm gonna try, because I tend to do that sometimes. I'll give something a chance. I'll give it 15 minutes. I'll say, this sucks. I tried Breaking Bad 3 times, and I couldn't get.
Oh man!
I couldn't get through the first episode. You know why? Because I was still obsessed with The Sopranos.
Sure.
I mean, I was literally.
Yeah.
I've watched that series 7 fucking times.
It's a great series.
Okay, so when I'm watching Breaking Bad, I'm like, I don't know, man, this ain't The Sopranos. So I would just turn it off. So eventually, I
would give it another shot. I believe
I gave it.
Oh, you did.
I've been through the entire series. Okay. Now I have issues with that show, but that's another. You can check out one of my episodes on my podcast if you want to hear my opinion on that. It's a little insane, but
I look forward to listening to it.
So, but still, overall, it's a good show. There's some things that irked me about that show, but it's still a good fucking show, and I'm glad I watched it. But so I tend to do that a lot with Netflix. I'll try something for 15 minutes. I'll get bored. Like, oh, this sucks.
As is, you're right.
Exactly. But I tried Hip Hop Evolution. and I watched
Amazing.
4 seasons in about a week.
Wow. Okay. I will put it in my my watch list, my friend.
And the reason that I watch is not only because I'm a hip hop fan, I like learning about the history of it, but because it's so fucking inspiring.
Right.
That these guys came from nothing. From fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. And with the world against them.
Yep. Built billion-dollar industries.
To create new types of music that nobody even heard of before. You know what I mean? And coming from the hood and all that shit. And what they were able to build was...
they had a lot of disadvantages. They were not meant to succeed. And they did.
And the soundtrack to the show is the old school hip hop, so you get all hyped up and shit, so check it out. But
that's awesome.
That's probably the only thing sort of pop related that I've involved myself in. Now, as a kid... I'm going to throw out a couple things that I was into.
Okay, I'd love to hear them.
Maybe we can vibe
I'm
off of
sure
something.
I'm sure we have much in common.
He-Man.
I appreciate He-Man, but I was more of a G.I. Joe guy.
I never could get into G.I. Joe.
Yeah, I love G.I. Joe.
Everybody I know was into G.I. Joe.
I couldn't get into He-Man because, here was this big, strong white guy with a cereal bowl haircut, a green tiger on the.
I don't know why I never thought of it that way.
Wearing fuzzy underwear. I was like, well, how can I relate to this guy? You know, I can't aspire to be him.
What about Skeletor, though, man?
Skeletor was cool.
He was cool, man.
Skeletor was cool, but G.I. Joe I could relate to. You know, these were guys, real humans.
Yeah.
And I was really, it was during the Cold War, so we were under the threat of being wiped out at any second.
That's true.
And these were a bunch of freedom guys fighting against an organization that wanted to dominate the world.
Okay.
These cool vehicles, and I loved military weapons. I was really into military stuff. Just kind of as a byproduct of we almost went to war back in the 80s. We were under a nuclear threat from the Russians, and so I could really relate to these guys. So I was way more into G.I. Joe than He-Man.
Okay, all right, yeah. I wasn't into... Probably He-Man was probably the only fucking thing I was into my entire childhood.
Yeah, cool characters. Rat-Man, Man-at-Arms.
I never was into the Transformers. Sure. None of that. Were you into the Transformers?
I was, Okay. Absolutely.
All right. Now, you're not from Jersey, so there's some of the things I wanted to ask you I'm going to skip over. How about more recently, in more recent years? Okay. You mentioned... we were talking about Clerks.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
So it was kind of like a cult classic.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So I got a couple cult classics for you. They're some of my favorite movies ever, and hopefully we'll be able to... Okay. Have you ever heard of Blood Diner?
I have not heard of Blood Diner.
You got to check it out.
Blood Diner.
You got to fucking check it out. It's the stupidest fucking thing you ever see in your life. It's absolutely ridiculous. If you're into absolutely retarded humor, this is it.
Blood Diner. Okay, I'm in.
Okay, go look for it. But the only problem is it's really hard to find it.
Okay.
Because it was such a B movie that it's literally doesn't exist anywhere.
I can find it.
You can find it? Okay. If you find it, let me know.
I'm a man who
I've been trying to find it and I can't.
I'm a man who can find things.
How about the greatest movie of all time?
Okay, which is?
Kung Pao.
Kung Pao. Enter the Fist?
Yes.
I have not seen Kung Pao.
What?
I've not.
It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, all right. See you later.
I gotta go.
I have not seen Kung Pao, so I will put that. I'm sure that's readily available on Netflix.
You gotta watch it. Now, I don't know if you'd be into it because you really, 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 really have to be a little bit insane to enjoy it.
I am very insane.
Okay, then you might enjoy it.
I love, I love anything with crazy humor. So, yes, all right.
All right. That's probably it. Supernatural.
The TV show.
Yeah. Not your genre?
I gave up after 2 episodes because in the first episode they burn up the guy's hot girlfriend on the ceiling, and I'm like, well, what's up with this? I wanted to see more of her. I know they get more hot girls as the series continues.
Now the show sucked in a way because it was the same story over and over and over. Right? Yeah, sure. But I loved it because of the fucking car,
right, baby,
and the songs that they used to play. They used to play AC/DC and all this shit. Yeah, I was in.
I'll give it another shot. I know there's 13, 14 episodes, seasons now.
Well, I fucking stopped.
Yeah, my friends who love it really love it. I just I'm trying to relate to them, but I have not watched over 2 episodes. Okay, all right. I don't think me and you are ever going to agree on anything. Anything entertainment related, except for one thing: our love for podcasting. That's absolutely. So speaking of podcasting,
let me ask you, I think you have 3 different podcasts.
I do.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so you have the I Sell Comics,
yeah.
which is on Smodcast.
On the Smodcast Network, yes.
Smodcast Network.
Yep, but you can find I Sell Comics on YouTube, or Spotify, iTunes, Google Play,
and I listened to some of it, and it was actually very good.
Thank you.
Okay. You also have your own network that you're building.
Yes, the Shared Universe Podcast Network.
Okay.
Yes.
And on that podcast network, you have 2 different podcasts.
Yeah, I have one called the Ming and Mike Show. My co-host's name is Mike. He's also a partner here at the Shared Universe.
Okay.
And we needed a podcast where we could just talk about whatever the hell we wanted. Mm-hmm. So, the I Saw Comics, I was very pop culture and comic book.
Wait a second, this is the same guy that's on the other podcast too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it should be a good show.
Yeah,
okay.
and that's the beauty of podcasting. If you want to start another show or another 10 shows, you can. Yeah. And a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But we just needed an outlet where we could just talk about whatever we wanted. Mm-hmm. And that became the Ming and Mike Show. And I do another one with my friend Samantha. It's called the Sam and Ming Show. I'd met this girl a number of years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and I was like, this girl's nuts, man. She'd be great on a podcast. Yeah. And I asked her, I was like, hey, you ever thought about podcasting?
That tends to be a theme with podcasters.
Yeah.
A bit nuts.
You gotta be a little nuts. So we sat down and we talked about both of our crazy adventures, but her way more crazier than mine. So
it's not comic book related?
No, not at all. Okay. It's
life.
It's life, yeah. Okay. But she changes jobs every 6 months. She's had more boyfriends than I can count.
Oh wow.
She gets in a lot of crazy stuff, and she's very honest. I
can relate.
And she
not boyfriend.
She's one of those friends who doesn't let me get away with any shit. She'll call me out on all my bullshit too. All right. And that's how our relationship is. Though we have a very weird friendship, but she'll call me out on all my crazy shit too. So I think we worked very well together, and I think it's a pretty good show. I think it's very entertaining.
And she's a Jersey girl?
She's a Jersey girl, yeah.
Okay. That's got to be a good show. Yep. I haven't listened to that yet, but I would definitely check it out.
She's just slightly insane, but it works great for podcasting.
It does. When you first started podcasting, were you like me? Were you the only weirdo that you know?
I wasn't. Kevin got us into it, so he was the first weirdo, and then How
about when you first started it, though? I understand how you got into it, but still, at the time when you explained to people,
it was very
new. Doing, were people like, you're doing what?
Even now in 2020, people are like, what's a podcast?
Yeah,
I think a lot more people know now than before.
Sure,
but I was constantly explaining. It was like, all right. It's kind of like your own radio show. Yeah. It's on the internet, but it just doesn't sit there where no one can listen to it. Yeah. You have very wide distribution on your phone, on your laptop. And I was like, hey, you can listen to podcasts while you work out, on your commute, as you're walking your dog, as you're stuck at work. And these are on-demand radio shows, kind of internet radio shows on every topic imaginable. So whatever you're into, no matter how weird, there's probably a podcast for it. And, I would literally grab their phones. I'm like, all right, I'm going to subscribe you to my podcast, but what are you into? Let's look. Yeah. And like, oh, here's a cool one. I'm like, all right, give this a shot. And I was kind of, I like to think I was kind of an ambassador where I was getting other people into podcasting. So, but it took a while for people to catch on. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I started, so what year was that?
2010.
Okay. I started in 2011. Yeah. I was doing like things on YouTube, whatever, silly shit. Yeah. But I really started creating content and podcasting in 2011.
That's awesome.
It was like nobody knew what the fuck what it was. Right. Nobody, except for a handful of geeks, Yeah.
But I kind of liked being at the forefront of this medium where I was like, all right, not a lot of people are into this now, but man, I know how much fun this is. And they're going to, in a few years, they're going to want to start their own shows and I'll be there to help them.
And that's kind of what you're doing now because you have the podcast and you actually have classes, right?
Yeah. So this whole studio, so if you watch Comic Book Men, intercut between the scenes where we're buying and selling stuff is 5 of us sitting around a table, talking into microphones or on a poker table. We're podcasting. And we were one of the first shows to feature podcasting in a major media format. There's no TV show showing podcasting. There's no movies showing podcasting. We were the first to depict podcasting in kind of a major media format. So, as a result of our podcast, we were getting fans, we were getting listeners. And I travel a lot. I go to a lot of Comic-Cons as a result of the TV show. Or we would be at the store, and a lot of people would come up to us. They're like, hey, man, we like the show. The TV show is great. But we really love is your podcast. We're listeners. I'm like, really? You listen to our podcast? That's really cool. And they're like, hey, we're thinking about starting our own podcast. How? How do we do it? Give us some advice. And I was like, oh, man. And I would give them maybe like a 10 to 15 minute lesson on what gear to buy, where to upload it, how to do it. But in my mind, I was like, well, 15 minutes isn't, you can't teach someone how to really podcast in 15 minutes. What if we had our own space where we could sit down and teach classes, like a legit 2-hour class, where people would come in with their friends. We would print out, a guide, and we would teach them everything that we've learned in the last 10 years. And that ultimately became a shared universe. Nice. We were like, wow, what if we just built our own studio and rented out time and held classes and where people could come to us for advice? How cool would that be? So, I'm
going to come take your class, man, because I could still learn some shit.
Oh, yeah, you'll learn a lot.
So I hear a complaint from a lot of people that nowadays there's an oversaturation of people who are not professional broadcasters, not just in podcasting, but in broadcasting in general.
Right.
The new media, the YouTubers, all these people who want to become famous, all these people on social media.
Sure.
I get their complaint. And they are, in a sense, they are correct. There's a gazillion people out there who have zero talent, who are trying to get out of their day job, and everyone thinks they're going to be a star.
Right.
But you know what? Do you want to go back to 1985 where we had 5 channels to choose from and some executive chose what was entertainment for us?
Exactly.
No, fuck that. I'd rather the oversaturation, more choices. If you don't like it, you don't have to listen to it.
Exactly. And even the people, say the professional actors and the professional broadcasters, you watch TV, not all those shows are a hit. Some of them are god-awful.
How many
these are
get
done
canceled after 3 fucking episodes, and they spent $90 million fucking dollars when they could have fed a small African country with it?
Yeah, and these are people who supposedly went to school, had the training. These are supposedly professionals. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what school you went to or how many movies you've been in.
Yeah.
If you're good, you're going to be good. You're going to find your audience and you may become popular.
Yeah.
But, just like in real life, if you start something, you're not going to be popular right away.
Yeah,
You may not be popular at all. You may not make $100 million. That's just life.
Sure.
So what does that all boil down to? It's like, well, why would you do this then? Because it's fun.
Because you
love it.
Yeah.
Because you have something to say. And whether you reach 10 people or you reach 10 million people, those are 10 people that you wouldn't have reached otherwise. And I think that's crap where, it's like, well, this is unpolished dreck. Well, you don't have to listen to it. They'll get their list. Maybe, okay, it's not for you. Great. They're going to find those people who love them.
Yeah.
Even though you think it's bad.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's all relative.
So what's the downside?
Yeah.
What's the downside?
Yeah, what's important is that we have a format that is accessible to everyone to create if they want to.
Yeah.
There is no one telling us that we can't. There's no one telling us that, well, you got to go to school first. You have to go to classes. You have to become a professional at
The whole world is changing because of this. Everyone's looking at, it's not just looking at entertainment. Right. We're looking at everything.
Yep.
We're looking at school differently now.
Yeah.
We're looking at so many different facets of our society differently now because a lot of the walls have been taken down.
Yeah.
And there's more access for regular people.
Yeah. I want people to create because they wake up and they're like, I got a great idea for a podcast or a YouTube channel or a live stream. And they now they have the means to do it.
Yeah.
If you want to start a podcast, you can come to our studio and or you could record it on your phone or buy a couple mics and have it up online within 10 minutes. If you want to start your own TV show, great. Grab your phone, your iPhone, record it, edit it in iMovie, and upload it to YouTube. That's a legit TV show. You want to live stream something, go on Facebook, hit that little live button, live stream your own event. You can do that. There's no one telling you that you can't. And there may be people telling you that you shouldn't, but you don't have to listen to them. You create it because you came with this great idea and you have this passion to create it and you have the means to create it. Go create it.
Yeah. Beautifully said.
Yeah.
You know, okay. So what you said before was perfectly right, and I agree with it 100% about even if you wind up not becoming some mega success.
And you probably won't. It's just in like real life. You know?
But you're still doing something that you love, so it's still worth it.
Yep.
That being said, for those of us who do want to be successful and want to make some motherfucking money off this, because we've been doing this shit for 10 fucking years, and we need to fucking get out of our day job so we can do this shit full time. Now, you've seen some success.
I have.
Okay. You have sponsors.
Sure.
Okay. You're on 2 different networks.
I am.
So without revealing too much, because you want to save some for your class, why don't you give our viewers, our listeners, a little tidbit of advice? Because some of us really need to make some fucking money off this. Okay?
Well, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, if your sole goal in starting a podcast is to make money, it's very hard. I don't want to say it's impossible because people have done it.
Yeah.
But if you're going into this just to make money, it's probably not going to happen. So, put that out of your head right away that you're gonna make it. Yeah, I know.
I had enough of this shit.
Yeah. That being said, there's several ways you can make money podcasting. One is advertisers.
Okay.
You're gonna have to go out to people running successful businesses and pitching to them. It's like, hey, I have this podcast. We're getting a growing listenership. Will you sponsor us? Will you pay us money to read an ad for your business? Because I think we will work together very well, and I think I can help you in your business. I think I can help you get more business.
Okay.
It's very hard though. What's the first question they're going to ask you is, how many listeners do you have? Or maybe you don't have a lot of, 1 million listeners, but the 10,000 or so listeners you have are really into, say, health and fitness, and you're pitching a protein company or energy bar company or a workout company or a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Those 10,000 people that are subscribed and listening to your show, they're targeted. They're focused. They listen to you because you talk about health and fitness.
Yeah.
So you need to make that advertiser aware that even though it's only 10,000 people, these are targeted, hardcore people into health and fitness, and they will buy your product. You can pitch to 1 million people, but if they're not into what your product is, those numbers don't matter. If you have 10,000 people, it's like, oh man, that's a really good whey protein. I'm going to buy it. That's more important.
Okay.
And if you're going to pitch to sponsors, number one, you got to come up with a really good pitch on why you're going to be a valuable asset, why you're going to help increase their business. They're going to know what you're going to do for them.
Okay.
So number one. 2, if you are going to pitch to advertisers, they're going to need to know that you're going to come out with an episode on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
Ideally weekly. A weekly episode is, they've done research. That's what people expect. Because remember back in the day when we would watch TV, do you remember watching like the Dukes of Hazzard?
Yeah.
Or
I watched that.
Okay, you're familiar with the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah. I used to love that fucking show, but then again, I was like 3.
Sure. So. But even when I was a 3 or 5-year-old, I expected that show to come on every Friday night because that's what happened. That's the schedule.
That's true.
And, if it didn't, imagine if you're watching The Sopranos. Remember it would come on HBO every Sunday night, I believe?
Yeah.
I imagine, you would watch an episode of The Sopranos, and the next week, they're like, you know what? We didn't really feel like releasing an episode this week. Tune in next week. Maybe we'll have the next episode ready. The same thing with podcasting. You got to come out with that episode every week because that's what people expect. If you get lazy about it, if you don't release it on a consistent basis, you're going to lose your audience. Yeah. And you're not going to get advertisers.
That's my biggest fucking problem.
So that's number 2, podcast consistently.
Yeah.
People expect you to come out with a weekly episode, or if you are busy, you're going to, okay, I'm going to come out every other week because that's all I have time for. Tell your audience that's what you're going to do right off the bat. Okay. And stick to that schedule. Okay. And that's that's the other way. Consistency. Yeah. Now, once you get a little bigger, you can take the show on the road. You can go live. You can sell out theaters doing live podcasts. Okay. That's what Kevin Smith does.
But you got to be big for that.
You can start out small, get a 50-seat theater. Okay. And once you get an audience, maybe you can sell out that 50-seat theater. Got it. Then you can travel the country, maybe find out where your audience is. Maybe you're big in Rochester, Minnesota. Maybe you're big in New Orleans. Maybe you're big in Bangor, Maine. Who knows? Go to them. Start, Bangladesh. Get a live show going there.
Yeah.
Then, you should go then.
Because they don't understand what I'm saying. So
okay. No,
it works out.
All right, that works out great.
Yeah.
But if you can sell that live show, not only can you maybe pitch and get an advertiser for that show.
Okay.
It's like, hey, we'll throw a big banner in the background as we, or maybe it's like, hey, the Ming Chen show brought to you by Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
You know, and not only
I'm getting Coke money now.
Yeah. Not only that, you sell tickets to that show, so you're making ticket money. But not only that,
I probably would have to take my video off of YouTube talking about Coke and Pepsi.
Sure. Maybe you can get Dr. Pepper. Maybe you can get Tab.
There you go.
Maybe you can get Aquafina or something.
Okay.
But once you record that episode, what do? You put that episode online. Maybe you could get an advertiser to sponsor that episode too. So you're making money twice on ticket sales, on the live episode, and on advertisers. So that's just a taste of how you can make some money.
Man, you sound like a man with a plan. You done fucked my shit up though, because instead of 10,000, I probably got 10 fucking listeners.
Well, grow the audience.
And I do an episode like
the audience.
I do an episode like every fucking 3 months.
Yeah,
but
you gotta be.
No, but I hear what you're saying. You're right, man. I get it. I get it. Consistency
is key, though, for sure.
Yeah.
Then if you launch a show, you can expect to like, all right, here's my show. Hey, everybody, come and listen to it. You got to tell people about that you have a show. And
I don't promote.
You have at your disposal one of the greatest marketing tools in the world right now, and it's free. You have social media. You have Facebook. You have Facebook. You have YouTube. You have Twitter.
Yeah.
You have Instagram. You got to go out there and tell people that you have a show, man. You know?
Yeah.
You got to go and like, hey, here's a new episode. Post that one up.
Yeah.
Because, when you release this one.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I got Ming Chen from AMC's Comic Book Men. Great. You have all the people who watch the show. They're going to listen to it. I'm going to tell my audience that, hey, I was on this great podcast.
Yeah.
Come and listen to it. We'll cross
promote
our audiences, but you got to put that out on social media. It's so easy to just hit that share button. Goes out to a whole nother audience.
Yeah,
man.
definitely. Well, I actually, I'm kidding around. I have done a lot of that stuff. And
social media promotion's awesome.
But as far as the, forgive me for going backwards, but as far as the consistency stuff, I think that is so damn important.
It's very important.
And I know it for a fact because I've seen it this year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I've been podcasting and doing online content for, however many years, 10 years or so. But I was never consistent. I do stuff for a couple months. I'd stop for a couple months. I do stuff for 8 months. I'd stop for a year and a half. This past year and a half, I'd say, I've been doing it consistently for a year and a half.
That's how you're going to grow.
I'm seeing numbers. They're not big numbers, but I'm seeing numbers
grow, though.
that seem to be growing on their own. They're not growing on their own because I'm doing the fucking work. But it's like I see it building. Like I don't even put out an episode, and I'm still seeing my numbers go up because of the work I did the month before, and the month before that, and the month before.
But the more you do it on a consistent basis, you'll grow that audience.
Yeah. So
that person who listened to whatever episode they hopped in on, it's like, wow, this is great. They're gonna wonder when the next one is. When is that new content coming out? They're not going to wait 3 months. They're not going to wait 6 months. They'll wait a week. Maybe
Eventually,
they'll wait 2
they'll
weeks.
unsubscribe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or even if they do see that they get an alert from you, they're like, oh, whatever.
Yeah. Wow, that guy's back.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they've already moved on.
Yep.
So,
but those are very important tips. For sure.
I appreciate that,
of course.
man. I'm going to put that to good use. Let me ask you one last thing before we wrap up.
Okay.
Is there anything... Oh, wait a second. There's one fucking thing I forgot.
Okay.
You've been in movies.
I have been in movies.
What movies have you been in? I know you were in Dogma.
I was in Dogma. Yeah, I've been in most of Kevin's movies. He'll throw me in the background somewhere. But Dogma was special.
Yeah.
Dogma was right after I'd met Kevin. And I was, it was one of the first movies he shot after we met.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, I want to put you in the movie. I'm like, huh? I'm like, wow, I'd never been in a movie before.
He's a cool dude, man.
I was like, and I love his movies.
Yeah.
So to kind of be in his universe, I was like, wow, this could be cool. So he was shooting in Pittsburgh at the time. I took a road trip out there. I roll up on set when he told me to show up. And I'm like, hey, so what's going on? You're just going to throw me in the background, right? That's cool. I just want to be in your world somehow. It's like, no, I got something special planned for you.
Wow.
I'm like, all right. So I show up. He's like, hey, all right, this is a setup. You're going to be sitting next to me and Jay as Jay and Silent Bob. I'm like, really? Like right with you guys? That's awesome. I love Jay and Silent Bob. It's like, all right, we're going to be in a strip club. And
even better.
And Salma Hayek is going to come
out.
Are you familiar with Salma Hayek?
Hell yeah.
Okay, Salma Hayek's going to come out. She's going to start taking her clothes off. I want you to act like you're really enjoying this.
Oh,
I'm like,
that's so hard.
Wow,
right?
okay, I think I can do this. I think I can do it. It's gonna, I'm gonna have
this
to dig deep.
This may take 45 takes.
Yeah. I'll dig deep, but I'll give you my best, Kevin.
Yeah, there you go.
And that was the scene. So,
wow,
so I'm sitting there and watching her take her clothes off.
You got to see what the fuck's her name? Selma Hayek's tits?
Well, she wasn't naked. I think she only did one movie where she
okay.
You saw her topless. That was not Dusk Till Dawn, Desperado.
Okay.
With Antonio Banderas.
But still, you saw her up and close.
I did see her up and close.
She's gorgeous,
she
right?
Was gorgeous. She was amazingly gorgeous. She was cool. She talked to me. It was cool.
Nice.
And not only that, Chris Rock was in the scene with me, too.
Get out.
Yeah. So I got to meet him.
Wow.
It was a cool 2 days, man.
Wow.
And then to boot, when I got home a week later, I guess this envelope in the mail, there was a check inside. I got paid.
Paid to do that.
Can
you imagine?
That. Yeah, man.
I'd fucking pay to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And you got paid to do it. That's awesome.
Paid, man. And then I was in Kevin's most recent movie called Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. And we got to be in that movie as well. I got lines in that movie. I got lines. It was cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is fucking awesome, man. That is really awesome. Yeah. Let me ask you this, though, before we wrap up. What else are you involved in? I want to do a little recap. You got the podcast studio.
So I got the podcast studio.
Universe.
Yep, we have 2 studios. We have one in Eatontown, New Jersey, and we have one on the Asbury Park Boardwalk.
Nice. And that just opened up, right?
Just opened up,
And you told me, I haven't been there yet, but you said there's a view of the beach.
It's right on the beach. It's right on the boardwalk. It is amazing.
Wow.
It is absolutely amazing.
Wow.
Dream come true for sure.
That's amazing.
And then I go to a lot of Comic-Cons. I get invited to comic book conventions as a guest. So they invite me out to appear where people can come and meet me, which is very surreal, but very cool. But I'll be with, I've met guys from The Sopranos. I've met...
really? Who?
Yeah, I've met, the guy, Vincent Pastore. Plays Big Pussy.
There you go. Yeah.
I've met a number of those guys. So there's a whole Sopranos con that just happened.
I missed it. I wanted to go. I couldn't go. I'm going to go next year.
Yeah,
I'm going to go next year. Yeah.
But, I've met a number of very cool people from my past and present, from TV and movies, which is cool.
Beautiful.
I do that a lot. Majority of that's what I do on the weekends.
Any other movie stuff going on?
Not that I know of, but we'll see. I was in a reality TV show. I'm not really an actor though. If they want me to do a bit part somewhere, I'll do it.
Not?
But I'm not a full blown actor. That's not really my forte.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I want to thank you so much for your time today.
Of course,
this was
and
awesome.
I welcome you to come back whenever you want.
Absolutely. Well, I'll be back.
Okay.
I'll definitely. This is my spot now.
Okay, fantastic.
So you're going to see an actual produced, more slick, more, professional show from now on, folks. So.
And I know you do meetup groups. I can't wait to come to the podcast meetup group.
Yeah.
I want to meet. This is part of the other reason I do. I want to meet fellow podcasters.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to see what they talk about.
Yeah.
I want to see their process. Everyone has a different setup. Everyone has different philosophies.
Sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like different disciplines of kung fu, man.
Yeah.
But get them together and we're dangerous.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on in Jersey, and what we're trying to do is I actually am getting connected with the other podcast meetup groups and some other people that work in different types of content, and we're all connecting to make sort of one group.
Yeah, we're gonna be a force to reckon with.
There you go, man. We're gonna be like the new what was that? Death Row Records, man. We're gonna produce the best fucking podcast on the planet.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm Dr. Dre. I call Dr. Dre then. I'm Dr. Dre.
Okay. Yeah. I'm Snoop Dogg.
Snoop. Okay, cool.
Fuck that. I'm Tupac.
Tupac.
I'm
okay.
Tupac. Yeah.
I love it.
All right, man.
All right, man.
Thanks, brother.
You got it.
All right.